Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most mysterious creatures in all of folklore, a magnificent beast whispered about in ancient deserts, carved into the stone of forgotten empires, and emblazoned on the shields of medieval knights. Imagine, if you will, the searing sun beating down on an endless, desolate landscape, a land of shifting sands, hidden gold, and fierce, unyielding winds. Here, amidst the barren grandeur, a legend was born, a creature of impossible majesty and fearsome power. It possessed the body of a mighty lion, the undisputed king of beasts on land, combined with the head and wings of an eagle, the supreme sovereign of the skies. Its eyes, they say, blazed like fire, its talons were as sharp as daggers, and its roar could shake the very earth. This creature, known as the griffin, was not merely a mythical beast. It was a guardian, a symbol of divine power and protector of the most precious treasures, especially gold, from any who dared to trespass. For thousands of years, its image has soared through human imagination, appearing in the art and literature of cultures spanning from ancient Mesopotamia to classical Greece, and all the way to the heraldry of European nobility. It's a creature so iconic, so universally recognized, that it feels woven into the very fabric of our collective consciousness. But what if I told you that this fantastical hybrid, this impossible fusion of predator and avian might not be entirely a figment of ancient imaginations? What if the stories, passed down through generations, were not pure fantasy, but rather attempts to describe something profoundly real, something unearthed from the very ground beneath their feet? Could the myth of the griffin, a creature so perfectly balanced between the terrestrial and the aerial, actually be rooted in a lost chapter of Earth's natural history? For centuries, scholars dismissed it as allegory, a moral lesson, or simply pure invention. But the evidence suggests a far more intriguing possibility, that the griffin, in a way that profoundly reshapes our understanding of myth, was real to the ancients, inspired by something truly extraordinary. Our journey into the legend of the griffin begins not in a hidden lair, but in the dusty scrolls of ancient historians and the epic poems that echoed through the classical world. The earliest known depictions of griffins date back over 5,000 years, appearing in the art of the ancient Near East, particularly in Sumerian and Elamite cultures. From there, the motif spread to Egypt, where it adorned royal tombs and temples, often symbolizing strength and divine protection. But it was in ancient Greece where the griffin truly took flight in narrative. The historian Herodotus, often called the father of history, writing in the 5th century BCE, made specific mention of griffins in his famous work, The Histories. He recounted tales from the Scythians, nomadic peoples inhabiting the vast steppes north of the Black Sea. According to Herodotus, the Scythians spoke of griffins guarding hoards of gold in a distant land, beyond the territory of the Hyperboreans. More detailed, and perhaps more crucial to our investigation, were the accounts of Aristeas of Proconnesus, a Greek poet believed to have lived in the 7th century BCE. Aristeas, in his lost epic poem Arimaspia, claimed to have traveled to the remote regions beyond Scythia, into the Altai Mountains and the Gobi Desert. He vividly described encounters with the Arimaspi, a legendary one-eyed people who constantly battled fierce griffins for the gold that these creatures guarded. Aristeas's descriptions painted a consistent picture: creatures with the bodies of lions, the heads and wings of eagles, and formidable beaks and claws. They were fierce, formidable, and utterly dedicated to protecting their golden nests. These tales weren't just abstract allegories. They pointed to a very specific geographical location: the rugged, gold-rich regions of Central Asia, areas that the Greeks themselves had limited, indirect knowledge of. The persistence of this imagery and narrative, from the highly stylized art of Persepolis in ancient Persia, showing griffins as symbols of imperial power, to their later adoption into medieval European heraldry as emblems of courage and strength, speaks volumes. Each culture adapted the griffin to its own worldview, but the core description remained remarkably consistent: a majestic predator, half lion, half eagle, often associated with gold and remote, wild places. These were not just stories. They were accounts of a perceived natural phenomenon, of a creature believed to exist in the world, albeit in faraway lands. The question, then, isn't just whether the griffin existed, but what the ancients were truly seeing and attempting to describe. For centuries, the griffin remained firmly in the realm of myth, a beautiful chimera defying biological reality. A creature with the physiology of a mammal and a bird simply couldn't exist, at least not according to the laws of nature as we understand them. But then, a groundbreaking theory emerged, one that bridged the vast chasm between ancient folklore and modern paleontology. In 1993, folklorist and historian of science Adrian Mayer proposed a truly revolutionary idea, that the ancient Greek accounts of griffins were inspired by fossil remains, specifically the skeletons of a particular type of dinosaur. The region described by Aristeas and Herodotus, the Central Asian steppes, bordering the Gobi Desert, is not just rich in gold. It is also one of the richest fossil beds on Earth. And nestled within these ancient rocks, paleontologists have unearthed countless remains of a small, horned, herbivorous dinosaur, Protoceratops andrewsi. Let's compare the characteristics. Protoceratops was a quadrupedal dinosaur, about the size of a sheep or a small pony, with a robust, lion-like body. Crucially, it had a prominent bony frill extending over its neck and shoulders, and a distinctive, parrot-like beak. Imagine an ancient nomad, perhaps prospecting for gold, stumbling upon the fossilized skeleton of a Protoceratops partially eroded from the desert sands. Consider the skull. The prominent beak would immediately suggest a bird-like head. The bony frill, when viewed from the side or with imagination, could easily be interpreted as the remnants of large, powerful wings or distinctive ears. The powerful, clawed front limbs and robust body would speak of a formidable terrestrial predator, not unlike a lion. And here's the clincher. Protoceratops nests, containing eggs and juveniles, are also common finds in the Gobi. The ancients, unfamiliar with modern geology or paleontology, wouldn't have understood these as dinosaur fossils. They would have seen large, strange bones with bird-like heads, lion-like bodies, and perhaps even what looked like wing-like structures defending nests. They would have been, quite literally, discovering the bones of their griffins. Scientists believe that the resemblance is simply too compelling to be a coincidence. The geography matches, the physical descriptions align strikingly with the fossil evidence, and the context of gold mining in those regions further strengthens the theory. Ancient peoples were keen observers of their environment. When confronted with the remains of these magnificent, long-extinct creatures, they didn't have the scientific framework to identify them as dinosaurs. Instead, they did what humans do best. They created a narrative, a myth, to explain the inexplicable. The griffin, then, became their interpretation of a creature that truly did roam those lands, millions of years before them. It's a powerful testament to how early humans attempted to make sense of their world, even its deep past, using the tools of folklore and storytelling. Given the scientific explanation for the griffin's origins, it might come as no surprise that reports of modern sightings of living griffins are virtually non-existent, and for very good reason. The griffin, as a literal creature with the body of a lion and the head and wings of an eagle, presents an insurmountable biological impossibility. Such a hybrid would defy every known principle of anatomy, physiology, and genetics. Mammals and birds are profoundly different classes of vertebrates, evolved along separate branches for hundreds of millions of years. The idea of a viable offspring, or even a naturally occurring creature, combining their distinct features in such a chimeric way, simply isn't biologically feasible. Therefore, when we discuss modern sightings, we are not talking about cryptozoological encounters with a living griffin. Instead, any contemporary griffin sighting would invariably be a misidentification, a hoax, or a product of an overactive imagination. Perhaps someone might glimpse a large raptor carrying prey, or a lion silhouetted against a mountain range, and their mind, primed by centuries of myth, might superimpose the image of a griffin. However, there is no credible evidence, no blurry photograph, no purported footprint, no DNA sample that points to the continued existence of this magnificent chimera in the modern world. The absence of modern sightings, far from debunking the legend, actually strengthens the scientific theory of its origin. If the griffin myth truly emerged from ancient observations of dinosaur fossils, then there would be no living creatures corresponding to that description today, because those dinosaurs have been extinct for tens of millions of years. The extinction of the griffin, in this context, happened long before humans even walked the earth. It ceased to be a living entity, only to be reborn in the human mind as a fantastical guardian, a testament to the power of ancient discovery and interpretation. The myth of the griffin is not a living creature hidden in remote corners of the world. It is a profound historical echo of the natural world's deep past, interpreted through the lens of early human wonder and imagination. So, after journeying through ancient legends, geographical clues, and compelling paleontological theories, what is our final verdict on the griffin? Was it real, an extinct beast, or pure myth? The answer, I believe, is a fascinating blend of all three, leaning heavily towards a specific kind of reality. The griffin, as a living, breathing creature with the body of a lion and the head and wings of an eagle, is undeniably a myth, a fantastical creation that defies biological possibility. No such chimera has ever roamed the earth, nor could it exist under current biological laws. However, the origin of the griffin myth, the spark that ignited its powerful image in the human mind, is profoundly, astonishingly real. The theory put forth by Adrian Mayer, that the ancient Greeks and other cultures in Central Asia interpreted the fossilized remains of dinosaurs like Protoceratops as these magnificent beasts, is one of the most compelling explanations for the genesis of a mythical creature. The geographical match, the striking visual similarities between the Protoceratops skeleton, especially its skull and frill, and the described features of the griffin, and the context of ancient gold prospecting in fossil-rich regions, all align too perfectly to be dismissed as mere coincidence. Therefore, while the griffin itself was not a living animal as depicted, the experience that inspired its creation was genuine. Ancient peoples were indeed encountering the physical evidence of long-extinct, awe-inspiring creatures. They didn't have the scientific framework of modern paleontology, but they were keen observers. They pieced together narratives to explain the strange, giant bones they found, weaving them into their worldview and associating them with the natural treasures of their land gold. The griffin stands as one of the most powerful examples of how scientific discovery, albeit ancient and intuitive, can fuel profound and enduring myths. It reminds us that our ancestors were not just superstitious storytellers, but intelligent observers trying to make sense of a world far stranger and more ancient than they could comprehend. In this unique sense, the griffin was real. Its image was inspired by real creatures, real bones, pushing the boundaries of human imagination. It's a powerful lesson that sometimes the most fantastical myths are born from the most unexpected scientific truths. What do you think, myth or reality? Is the griffin an enduring testament to the power of ancient observation and imagination? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown. We'll see you next time.